Alright, so we're back again with another spawn point walkthrough guide. A lot of people loved my West Cherno spawn point walkthrough, so I figured I'd continue and maybe cover a bunch more of the Cherno spawn points and showing you how I get through each one of them. So today, it looks like we got a nice, what's this? I think it's called Nizhnoye? Something like that. It's just outside, just a bit southwest of Berezino. It's actually not a bad spawn. There's a nice clump of houses here to get you started with a well. It's, depending on activity, it's usually a good idea to just loot all of them in case there's a little bit of food or something to get you started before you head to Berezino. Because that's the natural progression point from here, usually. Whoa. Second house I loot. A VK18, nice. But yeah, there's lots of zombies here. I don't see any dead zombie bodies, so I'm gonna assume that there hasn't been activity here for a little bit. Because I don't have a melee, I'm just gonna have to try and fight them, you know, one at a time. Because there's too many of them, I'm gonna need to kill a bunch to get access to that well. Yeah, I'll start off with a little beginner tip now. Now with the update on fruit and caloric value, it's so much more worth to wait to eat your spawn fruit until you can get an opportunity to bake it. Because you'll like triple the caloric value if you do that, and that's obviously way better than just eating it right off the rib. So if you're wondering why I haven't eaten it yet, that's why. And usually in the first few houses you might find like a bag of crackers or chips or something to hold you off until you can get to a point where you can sit down and bake, you know, a couple pieces of fruit or some chicken that you've cut up, something along those lines. So my goal with looting this first clump of houses is, you know, clear out some zombies to give me time to drink at the well. If I can find some better clothing, shoes, equipment, that's also good. We also found a rifle right off the bat. But it's all the same stuff, right? We're looking for anything that can be used for our further survival. So first thing you want to find, always on my list, is, oh shit. You want to find ways to sustain food long term, not just cans of food and food you find on the ground. You want to find, you know, weapons to go hunting, equipment to go fishing. So some rope, bones, maybe some actual fishing hooks, a knife, a hatchet. Just things to defend yourself with, things to sustain you long time, and things to keep you warm and prevent the loss of calories and all that kind of stuff. So, you know, especially on official type servers. There we go. That's nice. It's a nice little melee, and I can use that to make rags and make a rope if I need. So basically, I feel like I go over this every time I make any sort of beginner video. But I always try and find the bare minimum at a spawn town and just move on as quickly as I can. It's not a good situation to be in. But what you want to do is, floor is going to be tough to handle. You just back up, build up that stamina. Once they all do their hits and you get some space, you run away. We're going to have to try and lock them inside of something. In this case, I'm going to lock them inside here. One of the power hits, put yourself in a bit of an elevation, like on couches, use that to dodge them, to dodge attacks, and you move away. And there, I just trapped, what, 5 or 6 zombies? Now I just gotta fight 2, which is much more manageable. Back up, let them do their swings. Take a swing, and then keep backing up. It's a bit of a lengthy process, but this is what you have to do when you get yourself in that kind of trouble. Make sure they don't get behind you, because even if you're blocking, they can hit you and do damage if they're behind you. It's a little late on that swing, but we got lucky. That zombie got confused. I'm not quite sure why. That could mean somebody's around. And quickly, we just went from having 8 to 10 zombies on us to trapping 5 or 6 of them and then only having to fight 2 at a time. So if you ever find yourself in that situation, even early game like that, right now that's the best way to deal with it all. You just back up, build up that stamina, because when you're walking, you're building it up, and then let them get to their power hits, and once they stop, they usually freeze for a minute, and that gives you time to put some space between you and the zeds. Oh, nice. Someone left a nice burlap courier bag there for me, which is nice. If you guys know me, I don't like to carry backpacks, or if I do, it needs to be a simple light one like the courier bag, because it's light, doesn't make a lot of noise, and you know, just provides a simple 30 slots. But carrying bigger backpacks than this, not only are they usually more brighter and less camouflage, but they just make a lot of noise. You can tell the difference. If you ever get a chance, I'd advise you to play around with the different backpacks and just take a listen when you walk. Even something small like the hiking backpack, saloon backpack, whatever you want to call it. You can tell that there's a big noise difference between that and the courier bag, and also just not having a backpack. But, you know, a question I get a lot is, how do I stop or prevent myself from getting gear fear? And my advice is just to carry less stuff. Over time, you'll eventually kind of figure out what's most important. You know, you want a melee tool, a utility tool like to open cans and cut up animals, and then you know, basic medical supplies like bandages, disinfectant, maybe some Tetra, stuff like that. Like, you'll figure out your playstyle and how you want to handle different situations, and that will obviously alter what you think that you would need to survive in DayZ. So once you get a hang of those things, you really can go minimalistic and not have a giant mountain bag hoarding every item you find. It just slows you down, gives you less stamina, makes you more noisy, makes you more prone to aggroing zombies, and so on and so forth. With recent updates, it's especially with zombie hearing, you want to be minimalistic and carry as little as possible so that you're not aggroing zombies from afar. Oh, and that's nice. We can drop this really shitty saw as a melee and upgrade to the hatchet, and we get a nice knife and an IJ mag. Not bad. See, those first few houses were a bit discouraging aside from the BK-18, but then we get a hatchet is one of the best utility tools in the game, as you can cut down trees for firewood. You can carve up animals. You can craft bone hooks with it, and it's a really great melee tool that you can keep inside your jacket. It's a 2x4, so it's pretty decent. We'll upgrade on the hoodie because I think actually this one's in better condition, so we'll stick with that. But yeah. So now that we've kind of looted here, we've went to that nice central well. Usually from here is where I move on. There's a couple ways you can go, really. If you go straight up this hill, through that set of woods there, you'll eventually get to a nice windy, turny road, and that'll take you to Orlovitz. So if you hear shots popping off in Berezino, and it's kind of getting nuts, Orlovitz is a nice, really underlooted, underutilized town before Polana and Gorka that you can go loot straight off the rip. It's not too far. There's a well there. There's the hunting shop. There's a couple food stands and a bunch of houses and some industrials in terms of barns and sheds as well. So it's basically a spawn town that's a little bit more inland. But typically, from here, I usually go straight up to Upper Berezino, which is what I'm gonna do in this this loot run. I just something I always prioritize, and I always tell you guys in these types of guides, is that I want to get out of a spawn town as soon as I can, because they're often the most dangerous area and the most KOS type areas, because fresh spawns are fresh spawns and they want your loot. So the best thing to do is loot and get through these spawn points as much as possible. And I'm saying this because if I were to loot all of this and then follow the main coastal road to Lower Berezino and loot that, and then go up to Upper Berezino, that might be more possibility to get more loot, but at the same time you're also risking a lot more. So typically, if I'm not going to Orlovitz and I want to go to if I want to go to Berezino, I usually go to Upper Berezino from here. Just that town's not quite big enough to sustain an early game run. It's a good enough place to get started, but I think a trip to Upper Berezino is usually pretty worth it for the police station, the hospital, and the little military spawn, plus all the houses on the outside, plus another well. So you get 2 trips to a well and access to plenty of stuff to get you started. We actually are not doing too bad for ourselves with a hatchet and a knife and a long-range weapon, plus a burlap bag. That's a pretty good start, I would say. Yeah, so at this point, you know, we just want to find ammo. Ammo for the gun would be nice, but what we really need is, as you can see, it's morning time. It's probably approaching noon, based on where the sun's at, I think. I'm not too good with that stuff. But as you can see, it's supposed to be pretty, like, decently warm, but we're still light blue temperature, and with yellow food, that puts us at risk to get a cold. So right now, our biggest priority is to get some better insulated clothing, so that we stay warm. When we're cold like this, you can see we're dropping between 2 and 3 arrows down worth of food. It usually goes in between, depending on your caloric. You know, if I'm sprinting around like this, see, three arrows down. And that's just going to make us lose food faster. So being cold is not good. It makes you prone to sickness, and it makes you spend more food and water value out of your character, if that makes sense. Probably not, but whatever. The point is, if you're cold, you're just putting yourself at risk to sickness and starvation and dehydration. Now, sprinting isn't going to help, but just for the sake of this video, I'm going to kind of try and hurry along for the sake of time. But for the most part, you want to do a lot of jogging and preserving as much energy as you can early game until you get a reliable source of food and water. Water shouldn't be too hard to come by in spawn areas. You just need to learn the locations of the well, and you should be good. But yeah, usually what I do, I kind of forgot to go over that, but I go through the orchard, and if you follow these power lines, it takes you to like the middle to upper section of Berezino. So if you follow the power lines, you can find that barn and this double blue door shed and loot these up. Sometimes these big sheds like this can spawn some better clothing, some hiking pants. Someone might have came through and snagged some better pants. But industrial spawns can spawn, sometimes they can spawn like jackets, cargo pants, stuff that's gonna give you more slots and have higher insulation. So, oh, there we go. Bomber jacket. It's pretty stylish. A little bit too shiny for my liking, but the high insulation will definitely take early game. Yeah. And since we have yet to find a rope, I'm gonna start cutting up clothes as well, because I always preach it, but fishing is the best long-term solution to food in DayZ. All you need is to carry a rope and a few bone hooks, and you can fish in any water source. And as long as you have bone hooks, as long as you have a knife and rope and some bones, basically, you have unlimited food out of ponds and stuff. With a little bit of luck, of course, with the fishing. but it saves you from having to risk looting towns for food. And putting yourself out there for the sake of just looting for food. It might give you something extra to do. That's always nice, and it can be fun if you're a little bit bored with your adventure, but if you want to play it safe, you want to stick to the woods and the wilderness and avoid human contact, which apparently a lot of you guys do. Sticking to fishing and hunting is a really, really effective method. So aside from making a rope with these rags, if we find a little bit of disinfectant, that can always be good, because sometimes bandages can come at a premium. We'll see how the hospital loot is today, but a lot of the time, bandages can be pretty tough to find. And although they're the best form of patching up wounds because they're just so much faster, and they spawn in typically disinfected, which means if you use them, you're not going to get a wound infection. So although they're the best form, sometimes the easiest thing to do is carry a stack or maybe 2 stacks of disinfectant rags, because those are craftable. Carrying a bottle of disinfectant, whether it's alcohol tincture, disinfectant spray, or iodine, is never really a bad idea. I try to stick to bandages because they're smaller and more efficient, like I said, but sometimes you just can't find any, and the best thing you can do is cut up a t-shirt you found and use your disinfectant to clean them up in case you get hit by a zombie and you need to patch up. Or if you get a wound infection, you can use iodine or disinfectant iodine alcohol to clean out the wounds and save you from having to use Tetra in stage 2. That's a little more advanced. If you just find some bandages or you clean up some rags, you won't have to worry about a wound infection, more than likely. Now, a lot of people will tell you that, oh, you need to go through these orchards and pick up fruit, which can be a good source of food, but like I said, getting out of a spawn town should be your goal. So you don't want to waste time looting all the different orchards and stuff, because although you can find quite a few bits of fruit, it's not the most efficient method in terms of, you know, prioritizing your time. Odds are you're gonna find a can, maybe, or something to fish with or hunt with. So as long as you can sustain yourself and keep yourself out of the red, and come out of your spawn town with a few tools that you need to get going, and some warmer clothes, then that's a successful fresh spawn start, in my opinion. You don't want to spend an hour or two fruit cycling and whatnot to try and get your hunger bar full. Let's see right there. Found a bag of rice, and like the second house I looted. So go fruit cycle if you'd want, but that's gonna waste a lot of your time. Maybe not waste if you pull it off successfully, but the longer you stay in a spawn town, the more likely you are to die in that spawn town. So I like to loot a few of these houses and move on to the points of interest. Oh, the kicks, the drip check. Oh, a sewing kit. Sewing kits are nice too. I mentioned insulation values to your clothing and how important they can be. Sewing kits, obviously, you can use to patch up most clothing. And when like, say this isn't a good example because I don't think you could use a sewing kit on a bomber jacket. You need a leather kit. But say that hoodie that I had before, for example, typically, and although this sporter, let's see if we can find rounds for the shotgun first. But although this, the hoodie isn't the best source of insulation, I think it's up to medium when it's pristine or worn. But since the one I had was damaged, it was, I think, maybe low. or if it's badly damaged, it's low, or maybe even bad insulation. But using a sewing kit on it would make it so that it would return to its medium state when completely fixed. So sewing kits restore not only the look of the clothing and prevent it from getting ruined, but it also restores insulation value, thus saving you calories and the potential risk of getting cold. So that's never really a bad thing. But nice, we found a stab vest. That's like jumping ahead of the gun right there. And some better pants, medium insulation, so yeah. Yeah, not so bad. So we already got some okay clothing and a couple guns. We're gonna probably trade out the sporter for the shotgun, just because of the potential. Even though if you've watched some of my recent streams, I've been fucking killed it with the sporter. The sporter kills, so if you find a sporter and you can single load it and you're a decent shot, aim for that headshot, man, because you'll get a decent head bleed on them. And I've been one-tapping people with it, so it's really not a bad weapon. I highly recommend the sporter. I think it's very underrated. And in close quarters situations as well, if you can, you know, fill up a 15, or I think there's a 30 round mag too, that thing can be lethal if you just semi-auto spray that thing. That's a bleed stacker and an uncon machine. I've killed geared players with it. I came back for these for the drip. I've killed geared players with sporters very easily. It just comes with a little bit of practice and skill. But yeah, not bad. We've got good clothing. We got a light, stealthy backpack, a stab vest, and 2 very good starter weapons. Just need a little bit of ammo, maybe a little bit more food, and oh, someone's definitely been here. I used knife and some rotten meat. Someone's been doing some cow hunting. This cat food, I got a lot of questions asking about dog, cat, and unknown food. You can eat them at will, but I usually just I eat half the can and then save it, because they can get you sick, not because they're bad food to eat, but because they fill up your stomach very quickly, and if you're not paying attention, you can throw up and get sick from that. So not only is getting sick from that very, very annoying, because oh, look at that, some early game boots, we'll take those. Not only is it very annoying, because then you have to eat in very small bites for a while until you can find charcoal, or it just goes away on its own, but also because everything you just ate, when you throw up, you lose all that caloric and hydration value intake, so it just puts you back and puts you in a very annoying situation. So just pay attention when you're eating, and you should be fine. Usually just taking 4 to 5 bites, or even pushing as far as eating half the can of cat, dog, or unknown food, and then waiting for the arrows to go down again. So see, my hydration and my hunger are going down again, so then I'm safe to eat the rest, and I should be fine. You just have to pay attention to the stomach icon. As soon as you see that stomach full icon, I usually try and stop. You can usually push it a little bit past, but see, efficient, and it works. A deagle mag, that's nice, we'll take that. But yeah, so again, I'm kind of lacking on my progression points, but when I start in Nizhnoye, whatever the hell it's called, I go from that little town after I loot all the houses and drink from the well. I make my way over to that mini industrial site, and I go right into town for that PD, loot a couple places around it, and then you move right down the street to the market, and there's a military tent, a patrol shack, and a hospital. And there's plenty of civilian spawns in between and around, but as you can see, just by looting a few, I've already got a lighter, which is good for, it's the best fire starter in the game. some assorted mags and some ammo, 2 good guns, a stab vest, backpack, good clothing, and already enough food to just really keep me going. And now at the hospital, we're going to try and find ourselves a couple bandages at the very least. Maybe some painkillers, an epi, something of the sort. But like I said, it did seem like somebody was around. So we might not get very lucky with the loot spawns. But at the very least, you get to see my process and what I like to go for. There we go. We got 1 full bandage. That's going to help us. I did hear aggro on the other side. That could have been from on me, but I feel like I'm a bit far. Alright, this one was on me. Oh, another full bandage. That's actually pretty perfect. 2 full bandages plus the half one we still had from spawn. That's honestly more than enough to get you past Berezino or your spawn town. You know, as long as you play your cards right. A compass in there, I don't need that. You might need it if you're still new to the map. A little bit of baseball cap action for the drip because now we're warm. But yeah, make sure you loot these cars in the parking lot because they too can spawn medical loot because they're within the proximity of the hospital. So make sure you're looting that. And the industrial, the little, you saw me go in the scaffolding there, that can also spawn medical loot as well as in these sheds here too. And no example, of course, to make it seem like I'm lying, but I'm telling the truth, I swear. And I know you can go inside the hospital as well, but because I found these bandages, I kind of just want to get out. I don't really need anything else at the moment. Alright, in this case, kind of bad situation here. Let's just lock these away. Try to take as little amount of damage as possible. Save that health in case we start starving. Well, there we go. Always loot the zombies when you kill them, because they can spawn some food. We'll check the scaffolding back here really quick, just to see if we can snag another bandage or something. Maybe some surgical gloves. An EpiPen, nice. EpiPens are super useful in a tense situation where you need to switch locations. In a flanking situation, or you know, if you're just in a really bad spot and you need to sprint away, popping an epi gives you 60 seconds of unlimited stamina, and it's really nice in a dire, desperate situation. So from the hospital, so we went from Nizhnoye or whatever it's called, I can never remember. You know, we looted the town, drank at the well. We followed through the orchard, followed the power lines to the industrial, looted that a little bit, came up, looted the PD and a few surrounding areas. Then we came down the main road, looted the market, went to the patrol shack, the military tent, looted the hospital and the parking lot and the garages and stuff around it. And then if you just come through, if you cross where the back of the hospital is into these backyard in the middle of a bunch of houses, you'll find another well, which, you know, after your long trip from Nizhnoye and all the looting and maybe running around and fighting zombies you did, it's always nice to fill up on water. Usually 2 or 3 trips to the well while filling up your stomach will get you to full hydration. That zombie's acting a bit weird. I think someone might be around. Yep. Hello.
What up?
What's up, man?
Shit, Freshie. You wouldn't happen to have a nibble on you, would you?
Nah, I don't, man. Sorry. You just call me a freshie. We need to get out of here. I don't trust that. Don't trust voice changer people. So in that situation, I wasn't moving, and the zombie was aggroing. I was being alerted by something in the opposite direction of me, so that's how I could tell right away that something was off. So just pay attention to what the zombies are doing. If you hear it get alerted, and you feel like you're not doing something that would alert the zombie, always check your surroundings, because that could mean somebody else is in the area. But we didn't quite fill up at the well because of that guy. I didn't really trust it. But obviously you have all those really good houses to loot up if you'd like to, if you need maybe an extra bite of food. In the back of my mind, I knew I had the soda and the pashka, and that'll probably end up getting me to white hunger. But yeah, you have all those to loot. Then on this main upper road, you also have this little bit of industrial as well. If you still need clothing, or a melee tool, something like that. But since in my very first fresh spawn to geared kind of walkthrough, my first fresh spawn tutorial, I did do a Berezino spawn. So because of that, I do want to cover one extra step, because you guys probably have seen this already and might be like, oh, this is like the same video. It is in a way. That one was more in depth, I think. This is me just kind of going through my loot progression and my looting progression and process. Plus, I believe I started the lower part of Berezino, so this is technically a different spawn point. But nonetheless, I'm gonna travel over to Kelm to show you a bit of a sneak peek into what I would do next. Especially because I didn't get as much as I have in previous videos. This is definitely enough to start you off. I don't think I would say I'm comfortable going to Gorka, but usually that's the next place of interest on the progression scale, at least in my book, Upper Berezino to Gorka. Again, another option if you don't feel comfortable enough, you don't feel you're geared enough to go to Gorka, because Gorka is very dangerous, very high profile area. I would advise maybe go to Orlovitz, which is that other town that I was speaking of. If you follow this main road through to the other side of that hill, it'll take you to Orlovitz. Or you can do what I'm doing and go to Kelm. And I'll show you guys Kelm in this video. So basically, you kind of just go up to this main road, and then there's a little break. Once that little side rail ends, you can kind of just sprint right over and use that big hill in the distance as a guide. See, I believe that's the main road over in the fog, or I think it's a dirt road actually, that you can follow right up to Kelm. Kelm is a town that you can go and loot if need be, but Kelm also has a very nice summer camp, I think with around 8 cabins, maybe a little bit, maybe 8 to 10 cabins to loot, which is obviously very nice. You can find rifles, warm, high inventory slot, hunting gear. You can find chlorine tablets, canteens, maps, compasses, hunting knives, scopes for rifles, ammo. Usually shotgun shots, so we're looking for shotgun shells, or even some 7.62 by 39 for the BK, or maybe just an upgraded rifle at any point. Nonetheless, this is usually a really good way to go. Plus, if you find enough stuff to fish, which I have enough to make a rope, I don't have anything for bones at the moment. There's a nice couple set of streams here that you can fish at. It's usually pretty low-key, isolated, and you should have some good luck fishing. Sorry about that. A little bit snotty today. Yeah, you really just run straight through that field into the woods. There's a nice deer stand here. This is usually if you feel a bit lost, look for these medium-sized power lines, and for this deer stand up on the hill. And then I think I'm actually pretty close. As experienced as I am, I get lost too sometimes. Doesn't matter how many hours you put into the game. can still get lost from time to time very easily. And don't feel bad about it. I don't give a shit, you know? Just keep doing you. Look. See, like I said, the Sprite in that little brisket spread or whatever it was put us into the white, so we're doing good. We're staying out of the yellow to red threshold in terms of food and water. And we should be alright. We actually got very unlucky and didn't find any chickens at Berezino, which was, I guess, a bit annoying, but it is what it is. I think they're a bit more common in Lower Berry. Maybe that was my issue. But once you find the hunting stand, you should be able to run back this way. And come up here, and I think the summer camp should just be up through these trees, unless I'm mistaken. I think you can just hug this tree line and get to the summer camp. And wait, is that it? Yes, it is. There she is. So just a straight sprint. You can even see where we kind of cut off from. It's a bit hard to see in the fog, but you can see the main road out of Berezino that we ran straight through. Reorient yourself with that hunting stand, loot it, obviously, and then you can come straight up. If you run straight out behind it, there you are, at the summer camp. And just over there, I'll show you Kelm after we loot here. But it's such a nice progression. And listen to that, some chicken. So we might not even have to go and loot Kelm, because once we kill this chicken, we'll have the meat. We still have the plum, and we'll have bones to go fishing. So we will be set in terms of food for sure. I like to be sneaky, because one, this is a very high populated area. Look at that, some 308. Just spawned in. Like 20, 25 minutes later, get some 308 rounds. There's some hunting pants. Those will be higher insulation, but I don't like that design, so I'm personally not picking it up. But yeah, high populated, usually point of interest. You can see a lot of traffic coming in and out of here. Some more 308. So I like to keep a low profile, crouch around. Plus, there's usually quite a bit of zombie activity, so not a bad idea to lay low. I'll go get that chicken quickly before someone else hears it and steals it from me. We heard it crow. Should be around here somewhere. Usually if you sit and listen, you can hear the clucking, or, you know, it'll eventually just, oh, see, I heard the clucking. It's over here somewhere. When you get close, usually the animals make more subtle, quieter noises. Oh, look, and an apple. Nice. But nice. There you go. You don't need a melee to actually kill chickens, which is nice. You can just power punch them, or 2 regular punches will do the trick as well. So if you're worried about saving durability on your melee, just power punch it. Sneak up to it and power punch. Pretty easy. Yeah, now we got a chicken. So we'll get 2 chicken breasts from that, as well as bones to make bone hooks and go fishing. And because I was too busy talking and thinking about what I was going to say, I forgot to keep it low profile. Oh, look at that. And we found a rope. So we can actually just save these rags, potentially, for other uses. But yeah, let's go back to our low profile. Let's loot these. And then we can actually start fishing. We can actually fish here. Like I said, it's kind of it's high profile. And you can fish here, but maybe not the best idea. So maybe, actually, you know what? I'll go back to that stream that I showed you, and we can go fishing there. That shouldn't be a bad spot. Let's actually switch to this. It's the same insulation, but I think it's a little better in wind protection. Ooh, someone already made a bone hook for me. That's, Yeah, it's scripted. Oh, nice shotgun shells. Let's actually get them out now, in case that other guy, voice changer boy, follows me. Just get strapped up. Always be ready. If you're in a decent position to unload or unpack and load up your ammo for your first gun, you know, it's always important to do that as soon as possible, because you never know when someone could come and mess up your day. Nice hunter's backpack. I like the hunter's bag, but like I said, the trend, if you want to stay low-key, low-profile, sneak up on players and zombies, you gotta stay light and stealthy, and that hunter's bag will just make more noise than necessary. So, I don't know, that's just my personal preference. These are usually not the greatest of spawn points. Sometimes you can get lucky and find a rifle, or there we go, some BK rounds. Nice. That's actually worth the look. So now we have ammo for both of our guns. We still have a few more cabins to loot too. Oh, while I'm over here, let me show you. This main entrance, if you follow the dirt road back down this way, if you go out this main entrance and you follow this, well, it's not a dirt road, but it's a, you know, a back road. If you follow this back road all the way out, you'll eventually get to Kelm town, and there's a well, a bunch of civilian spawn houses, and stuff that you might need to loot if you need more food, or you still think you need another better piece of clothing or something. It's not a bad place to go. But because we are set up to go fishing with a way to make a fire, the tools, bones, and some rope, we definitely don't need to go that way. Oop. I screwed up there. Oh, more food. You can no longer creep up at any angle to a zombie. You have to be directly behind it, at least from what I've seen. It used to be, and I think I've showcased, yeah look, use gun cleaning kit. I've showcased in the past that you can like surprise the zombie from the front by sitting around a corner or something, and you can stealth kill that way. But that's no longer viable, it seems. So just make sure you sneak up behind the zombies if you want to perform the stealth kill. I didn't give you a good example. I'll try to. I think I hear clucking of another chicken too. So you gotta be right up behind it. Oh my god, that took too long. It's another thing, you gotta be quick with it. Yeah, I do hear another chicken, which is nice. Oh, armbands. Oof. Let's go get that chicken. We've looted all the cabins. Alright, God damn it. Yes. Just deal with those. And there's the chicken. Oh, I missed. A little chicken chase now. I missed again. One punch, two punch. And you know what? Since we're right here, I don't really have the space to carry another chicken body. I'm just gonna cut up the chicken really quick in the cover of these bushes. Same with this one. But yeah, I didn't give you a good example there because I was too busy trying to explain as I did it. But you have to be quick when you're trying to perform the stealth kill. But you crouch up behind it, has to be pretty much directly behind it without aggroing. You put the knife in your hand. I like to stand up because sometimes doing it from the crouch position can mess up the animation. So you're here, you have your steak knife or whatever in hand, the zombie's right here. You quick stand up, you raise it with holding right click, and if you just tap left click, boom, you should be able to stealth kill the zombie in front of you. Alright, we'll down this tuna. We'll head down to the stream and I'll get my fishing set up and explain where you might go from there. So if you remember, we came from here. Now, because I have ammo, I do feel comfortable going to Gorka after I get my food situation sorted out. We'll just run back down to the stream. If you remember, we hugged that tree line, so if we just kind of come back this way, follow a direct path back. Try and find that hunting stand somewhere over here. Should be just through these trees here. Somewhere over this direction. Bum, bum, bum. Ah, there it is. So that tells you you're back on track, and then down in these autumn colored trees you can find that same stream that we passed over and go fishing. And from there we'll be pretty set. And you can see the upper part of Dubrovka there. If you just use that as a reference point, Gorka should be straight this way. It takes time to learn the map and these layouts and these routes, but with enough time, practice, and going through the motions yourselves, it won't be too bad at all. You'll be a pro in no time with experience. And although this is supposed to be a bit of a walkthrough and you mimic the kind of things that I'm doing, also keep in mind that things can change very easily. That player could have attacked me or killed me and made me alter what I had to do, but luckily I got out of there safely. And yeah, so don't get hooked on the idea of sticking to that route directly. Maybe let's say, for example, that voice changer guy followed me up to Kelm. I don't want to go where he knows that I'm going. Sometimes maybe it's better to act like I'm going one way and actually juke him out and go another way. And I have to adapt because I don't want that guy fucking following me, So sometimes that's the better way to handle things. You have to be ready to adapt and improvise based on what's going on in the town you spawn in or around. So for example, if everything's chilling Berezino but you hear shots coming from Kelm, you don't want to go to Kelm unless you have a gun, right? You want to survive, so sometimes it's best to just take the back seat, say, maybe I don't go to Kelm this time. Maybe, hey, let's go to Orlovitz. It sounds pretty quiet there. I could maybe find some ammo and I'll be good. So it takes a little bit of adaptive thinking and some improvising, but you'll find your way for sure. Now, since we don't have a use for 2 full stacks of rags now that we have the rope that we found, I'm just going to use these other rags as fire starter. And all you have to do is... Oh, I was standing too close to them. All you have to do is put them on the ground and light them from there, and then you don't even have to craft the fireplace. It just saves you a step. You can drag the fuel on from there. So I'm going to get a little bit more fuel and something to maybe... I need a long stick so I can actually cook whatever I plan on cooking. So with an outdoor fire, you need a long shit. a long stick that you sharpen with a knife or even a hatchet to cook over an outdoor fire. So obviously you can't just place it next to the fire. That won't do anything. And there's no grill to cook on like there is with an indoor fireplace. So you just need to sharpen a stick and you're good to go. And obviously a couple sticks won't last you very long, so maybe go get yourself a piece of firewood if possible. Again, just hold the stick in your hand, combine it with the knife, and the first option is to sharpen. So there you go. That's your little tool to cook with outside. But before we do anything, let's just dig up a couple worms, go fishing if it would let me. Oh, I'm stuck in the animation. If that ever happens, sometimes it'll bug out. Look, I can't move because the game still thinks I'm doing the dig worms animation. All you do is stand up, jump, you're good. See? And just try it again. And there we go, it should work. I do hear boar. Now that I have ammo, I could go hunt the boar. But they're usually not really, they don't yield a lot of steaks in my experience, so we're just gonna stick with fishing and cooking this chicken, and we'll be more than okay. We're already white food and water as is, so it's not the biggest deal in the world. Fish will be much more efficient. Oh, that's not the right thing. Okay, so you just dig up a worm, you combine it with the hook, and then throw it onto the fishing rod and you can go fishing. I like to make the fire beforehand so that it's already hot enough to cook, and I can sit by it while I fish, and I can warm up and save up calories. So if I have a heat buff or I'm at least white temperature next to the fire, as you can see, I'm only losing 1 bar of hydration and food, so in the long run I'm saving my energy. If you're cold, the opposite happens. You lose more and you waste more. And now you just have a nice little forest ambient vibe while you fish. Oh, ooh. And if that ever happens, you didn't hear any, you just kind of stopped the animation. The game forces you and you lost your bait and your hook is now damaged. That means that the bastard fish stole your worm. So you just need to dig up another one and try again. Fishing takes a little bit of patience. It doesn't require any skill. You just need luck and patience, and eventually it'll really pay off. There's been times where I've held community events, and me and a buddy, Dutchy, one of my mods, who you probably just saw in my bow and arrow video, we had to fish enough to feed like a 5 or 6 man group. And we did so by fishing, and it took us like 15 minutes on actually a super hardcore server, so it was even harder than official. In 15 minutes we had about, I think, 10 or 12 fish, and we used that to cook and feed an entire group of community members. So with a little bit of time and some luck, you can really get yourself off to a great start early game, and you can use this method long term. I use it personally in a lot of my playthroughs. When I'm done fishing here, I like to break down with a knife or a tool the fishing rod, get my rope back, maybe keep a few extra bone hooks, and I can go fishing sometime down the line as well. If you're not having any luck, sometimes I'll give it a couple more circles, but if we don't catch a fish, sometimes it's good just to change spots, even if it's like a couple inches or so. So if nothing gets caught here, we'll just switch. Alright, nothing, so I'll move a couple steps over, start the animation over again. Sometimes that does the trick. And we'll just wait until we get a fish. We'll see how long it takes. Usually doesn't take this long, honestly. Of course, as I'm trying to promo the fishing tactics, it's not really working out. Oh, Did we get one? We caught something. And we got a fish. And as you can see, my hook is now ruined. You get 2 uses out of it technically. So if the fish steals your bait, you catch something or whatever, as long as the animation stops by something in the game, you take 1 use out of the hook. So I didn't use a hook when I repositioned myself, or I didn't take a use out of the hook when I repositioned myself, but when the fish stole my worm, and then when the fish happened to get caught a second time, those were my 2 uses. So straight away I cut it up. I always wash my hands after cutting up an animal because you have the bloody hands, and eating with bloody hands will get you sick and be a very big deterrence and annoyance down the road. So always wash your hands after you cut up an animal. And then I just stick the fish onto the sharpened stick, and voila, you can cook and you're gonna be set for your life. Yeah, so that just about does it for this this spawn point walkthrough. If you found it helpful, make sure to leave a like and subscribe, and in the comments below make sure you tell me what other spawn points or other maps that you want me to do guides like this on. I'm more than happy to join any sort of official server and test these out for you and show you what I would do in these situations. And yeah, if you want these to keep coming, make sure you like and subscribe. I really appreciate it, and it helps out the channel a lot. But that's it for this video, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye bye.